COVID-19 is creating problems in my area of law, which is family law, for a number of reasons. Family lawyers are in the people business, and family lawyers are used to telling people that everything's going to be okay, especially divorce clients who think that the world is coming to an end as they know it anyway. In this time, everyone is panicking, and even the lawyers are wondering if the world is coming to an end, and they still have to reassure their clients. The other impact it's having on lawyers is lawyers are now setting up remote offices, Zoom conferencing. Lawyers who had never thought they were going to be dealing with these issues are dealing with them in order to protect their staff and themselves and their families from possible exposure to the virus. What is the quarantine going to do, keeping people from going anywhere, socializing, going out to eat, in the long run in family law? Well, we have a couple of historical things that show us. We have 9/11 and we have Hurricane Katrina. After both of those times, there was a huge upswing in the number of divorces. And part of the reason is living with someone 24/7 is not what most of us do. Most of us have outside activities. People go to work, children go to school, people play golf, people play bridge, people do other things. They don't just sit in their house with their spouse and children 24/7. So relationships that were tolerable because of all the social interaction with other people and other activities and other events, all of a sudden have a huge strain when people are having to live with each other. The two biggest issues in a lot of marriages are finances and child rearing. Well, you're dealing with the uncertainty of loss of job, you're dealing with the uncertainty of no work, you're dealing with children who may need to be disciplined, and differing approaches to that. And so the quarantine probably will have some impact for family lawyers in the long run. In the short run, many are reporting not seeing much because everything's grinding to a halt. For people who have already filed for divorce and maybe are living in separate places, there's uncertainty over how you're going to negotiate the agreement. If you don't have temporary orders already in place, then there are going to be some issues with parenting time and who has the child when and what kind of precautions are going to be made. The courts are not functioning on the same level that they were, and so it is more difficult. Many courts are, however, allowing telephonic depositions, hearings, remote. So I think we're seeing the courts trying and struggling to adapt to this too. The biggest danger area for the quarantine is domestic violence victims. Being forced to stay in the house with an abuser can be lethal, especially if the person has already indicated that they plan to leave the abuser. The other problem for victims of domestic violence is people who are angry at the world and at everything else that's going on often take it out on their significant others. And the victim very seldom is going to be able to talk to people outside of the house because the abuser's in the house. And so phone calls, you'd have to get outside somewhere. Not being able to communicate with loved ones, counselors, lawyers, etc. can be a problem. The fourth issue I think that's coming up is in post-decree parenting time arrangements. A standard parenting time arrangement says that the non-residential parent has the child through spring break, say, holidays. And what happened in Texas, the schools said we're extending spring break for a week. And so one parent tried to say, well, spring break doesn't end for another week, so I don't have to return the child because that's what the decree says. The Supreme Court of the state of Texas sent down a little note saying You go with what was intended on the school year calendar, not what happened after the fact. And so spring break meant when the school calendar said it was over, but that's an issue. A greater issue is concern. Parents who are sharing time with the child worry about the child when they're in the other person's care anyway. So when you are in a situation like this where there are severe health risks from not doing what you're supposed to do, parents become even more concerned. And so we're seeing people calling their lawyers saying, I don't want Johnny to go to mom's house or dad's house because they're not adequately quarantining. They're inviting people over to have a dinner party or whatever. And so you have to look at some of these issues, and it's a problem when the courts aren't there to do it. I think lawyers are advising their clients to try and be patient, be informed about what's going on, stay healthy, try and be flexible. If one parent is sick or the child is sick, they should stay in one place and should not be rotating back and forth with a sick child who's going to be contaminating maybe children in another household and other parents and maybe grandparents. So we want to be safe. The other thing is trying to cooperate a little more and be a little more understanding. Anecdotally, I know of a case where the parents had really fought the parenting time arrangements. Then all of a sudden, when the quarantine hit and the kids were dismissed from school, the mother called the father and said, I have to keep working or I cannot make this little bit of money that I'm making at this moment. Could you take the kids for these 3 days and then I'll take them the other 3 days? And the parents actually ended up working out an arrangement where the non-residential parent took the children a bit more often during times to help out the primary residential parent who did have to continue working. So being flexible, being patient, making sure you're aware of what's going on, educating both parents as to what the dangers are and the need to be careful is extremely important. On the other hand, family lawyers are going to do what we've always done. We are troubleshooters, we are problem solvers, and we are going to help parents realize that there is light at the end of the tunnel, that tomorrow will be another day, and that things will look right again.